Hold this real quick and give me the camera down just for a second. I just want to go down in there. And I use the alarm on that.
You would see she would do all kinds of things to people driving by. Their cars would stop, they couldn't get them started, and there would really be nothing wrong with them. She would come out, lots of times come out from that side of the mill and more or less dance in the street. They would see her.
keep falling. Oh yeah, yeah, keep falling. Falling. Oh yeah, yeah, I'm falling. Yes, I'm falling. Yes, I'm falling. Yes, we're falling.
Clarkson. So that's all about Spruceville area
Oh, okay.
there. But Gary's the expert as far as being on the canal. He can
Okay,
talk about the hauntedness.
okay, this book here says England, and I've heard stories of Holland and Ireland.
Yeah.
Do you know what the exact area they're from?
All I know is that Mr. Gill is buried in Roanoke or Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay.
So he didn't get back on the boat to go west or go back to England, as one of the stories has. And I don't think he came from Holland. I think he was from this country.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There has to be something to the story.
Right.
Somewhere there was a little girl named Gretchen that died.
Right. Might have been.
I get the impression like an 8 or 9-year-old child. And when we reenacted it, we had a 9-year-old or
Okay.
so on to play the part. I'm looking to see what it says here about Gretchen Florence. Where it says it. 96.
And the old school that's around, where is that old school at again?
Which one?
that
Beaver
we
Creek
were-
State Park.
At the Beaver Creek State Park. How long has that school been around? If there was a Gretchen, could she have gone to that school?
The school at the state park is just a reconstructed building, or just a new building that's been looked had. Take my teeth out and put them back in, kind of thing. That is just a new building, but it was built to look like what a school would be. She would have gone to New Harmony School, which would have been up when you're going towards Clarkson out of Sprucevale. There's a riding stage,
The horse stables?
the horse stables up in there, and there was a New Harmony School back in that general area. So that's probably where she would have gone to school. Anyone who lived in the Spruceville area would have gone to school there. One of the stories was Esther Hale, who lived in the area and always went down to the general store area, was maybe the post office area, was very upset because her intended lover was killed at Gettysburg, and she's seen at night looking for her husband to be, and he never comes around. But if you happen to be down there on St. Michaelmas night, she just might try to attach herself to you guys, and you may have a companion for a long period of time. Like Fredericktown, Spruceville is one of those hidden valleys that possesses an almost mystical atmosphere. The feeling of calm and nostalgia comes over most visitors when they enter one of these valleys. It is something that always stays with you, causing a yearning to return to the place.
Is this the mill that Esther Hale's ghost lurks amongst? Everybody says you could actually see her floating around this mill. We're going to find out. We're going to go inside after hours. We're going to take photos. We're going to do some EVP. And as always, we're going to be filming it. What was that?
Sound like one of the bars.
Yeah, like grinding on one of them bars. Did you hear something?
Yeah. Really?
Esther, was that you?
I got chills.
He has hair standing up. Is anyone in here with us?
Did you hear something?
Yeah, I heard that.
What was that?
It was like a little squealing sound. Who was that made that noise?
Thought I heard a tap.
Yeah, I was up in here.
Is that you up in the rafters?
Something up there.
Tap again, please. I just heard it again. Did you hear it? It's over here.
I hear it over here.
One more time. And then I'll know you can hear us. Tap again, please.
Did you used to work in this mill?
I'm getting a weird smell.
Like what, Dan?
Like burnt fur or something.
Oh, did you hear that?
Can you do that again?
That's a definite knocking.
Yeah. Can you knock again for us?
And as soon as you turn that off, too.
We just want to know that you are here in this mill. That someone is here. Can you make a sound again? Can you tap on the wall? Can you tap on the wood?
There's something over in here.
Cold draft over here, take a photo.
Come on. There's a knocking over there.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Like someone stepping on the wood.
If any of the Hamilton brothers are still here in this mill, can you make a sound for us?
Not getting nothing right now.
Hmm.
Not getting nothing right now.
Here, take over the filming, Dan.
Is anyone in here with us?
Give me the camera. What?
Just heard something.
It was like a...
It's rolling. All right.
Is anyone in here with us?
What did it say?
Yeah.
You found?
What was that? Is anyone in here with us?
Is anyone in here with us?
Did you hear something?
Yeah, I heard that.
All right, guys. Right now, we're at Gretchen's Lock. We're right by the old mill, and I just want to play some EVP. We're actually waiting on Alexis and Heidi to get out here. Hopefully they do. I'm gonna play this for you. I had put this. I had put this recorder on top of the roof. Okay, and without this flashlight on, that's what it looks like in here right now. Pitch black. And this is what we recorded. Alright, here we go. Alright, this is it. Alright, don't talk. What was that? Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Something just scraped on your car, dude.
Yeah, something just hit your car.
Alright, guys, I'm gonna have to stop.
Yes, I heard that.
Something just scraped on this car.
I heard a noise, and it came from. It sounded like the hood of the car.
Man, there is some weird stuff going on out here tonight. There really is, man.
Yeah, I heard a noise on his car.
Like a scrape.
Look in the back. It's just an overall very strange evening out here at Gretchen's. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and continue with the EVP. Oh, what happens next is pretty eerie sounding.
You don't hear that? No. Listen to him howling. Roll your window down. You're back there, dude.
You hear something talking right there, too.
That's what we're gonna take down.
We're gonna have to clean this EVP up later. That's wild.
That's wolves?
Yeah, dude, that is eerie.
It sounds like screaming.
Dude, I'm hearing voices back there.
Yeah, me too.
Sounds like the gates of hell.
That don't sound
It does.
howling. That sounds like voices.
You can tell that it's an eerie night.
We already heard the wolves and everything. They're close.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here comes a car across the bridge. And keep in mind that, well, hold on. This might be Alexis and Heidi. I bet you it is.
There's a handprint on our window.
All right, that's we're At the end of the clip, you hear Christina saying that there is a handprint on the back window. Upon getting out of the vehicle, we were surprised to find several handprints on the back window, as seen in this photo. According to the legends, it is said that Esther Hale is seen looking through car windows. Reviewing the video several days later, something caught our eye. Pay attention to this next clip. You can clearly see what appears to be a glowing face looking in the back window where Christina was sitting. Later it appears that whatever it was, that it stepped away from the vehicle, exposing an outline of a glowing body. We later went back to the same location, using the same equipment, to try and recreate what had happened. Nothing we did managed to do so.
Now's your chance to talk to us. If you have something to say, make it count.
Would you be able to pound on a wall? Like, I'm going to tap twice. Would you be able to tap twice back? Oh!
My God. Okay. All right. Bye. God.
Would you be able to do that again?
No.
Can you tap twice again?
Can I come get this recorded, please?
Oh yeah, I'll need that. If you guys are bailing out.
I'm gonna take a picture. Can I take a picture of you? Hold on.
Let's look that way.
You guys alright?
I'm sorry. It scared me.
Oh, there's a big orb here.
Alright.
Can you do it again?
Where's that EVP recorder at today?
It's right here.
Okay. Are you guys alright?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tap again.
Alright, hold on. Whoever that was, just for confirmation, I appreciate you doing that. I'm going to do it again, and I want you to respond to me. Can you do that? It's like it knows you guys got spooked. Don't want to scare you, see?
Oh, shit.
You alright, Heidi?
Yeah, where's Joey?
Joey, he's reading.
Yeah, there's some orbs in here.
That was. I'm sorry, that just like, that
That was
scared
the
me.
creepiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
What do you guys think of that?
That was for real. That was like, that completely just did what you asked it to.
Like, we know there's we always knew there was something in here, but now we know it's willing to react to what we do.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
willing
not
to
just
communicate.
residual.
It could physically do something.
Yeah.
That's one thing that us paranormal investigators are always in search of when we come out here looking for spirits, is intelligent replies. And that knock on the wall, I mean, that really makes you sit back and think for a minute. Something is there that you cannot see. You ask it to do something. You say, hey, can you knock twice? Can you mimic my knock? And then it does exactly what you asked. So there's an extremely intelligent response. And that really makes one sit back and think, man, I can't see that thing, but it can hear me. It can obviously see me. And it can also physically touch the walls in there and make that sound. So that's something that really stands out to me when investigating this mill is that knock. That was pretty good. Oh, it's way too muddy, Dan. Look at that. Oh, shit.
What?
Dude, something's right behind us. I shit you not, man. There was something right behind us. That was in the mill or something. Did you hear that banging?
Yeah. That's on EVP.
Dude, something was banging in there, man, like maybe up on top.
It was quiet when I was in there.
I weren't snapping enough. You hear that?
Yeah.
There's something in there, dude. Moving around right now.
There's a mist.
Let me see. Do it again, do it again. Take it again. Hurry up, Joey. Right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right up in there.
Do it again.
Still there.
Okay. Show yourself.
Still there.
Do it over
I'm
there.
holding my breath too, see?
Yep.
Still there. It's moving around to the left. It's gone. There's a mist.
Let me see. Do it again, do it again.
It was quiet when I was in there.
I weren't snapping enough. You hear that? This photo to me was pretty significant. Although it's not Esther Hale or anything to do with her really, I just felt that it was important to include this photograph in this film. If you look closely at the photograph, it does look like there is a figure there, To me, it seems like it might be an Indian. It kind of looks like in his left hand he might be holding a tomahawk. And it also looks like he's kind of got a tomahawk cocked behind his head. He's kind of posing in a photograph. In the middle, you can see the face, the white area, and it kind of looks like there's either a dark hood or long black hair that goes down over his chest. I just had to put that photograph in. Take a closer look, guys. It could pretty much be anything, but to me it looks like it's a definite Indian. Okay, in this photo right here, you can see what appears to be a woman dressed in white. Perhaps a wedding dress. It does look as if she may be motioning for us to come towards her or with her. Now zooming in, you can see the woman's face, and on top of her head, it does appear to be a veil. Very significant photo. Now this particular photograph was taken immediately following the last picture we captured. It appeared as if the apparition of Esther Hale was vacating the area, as you can see the ghostly mist moving towards the left. However, upon looking closer into this photo, it appears that Esther's appearance may have intensified a bit. Looking closely now, it appears that there may be a young petite woman with long dark hair standing outside of the mill and appears to be naked. Take a closer look and judge for yourself and see what you see. I will end this night with one final photograph. Just minutes after having captured the previous photos you were just shown, we then managed to capture what we believe to be once again Esther Hale, only this time attaching herself to one of our investigators. Looking closer, it appears to be a woman in white engulfing Danny while looking at Christina, who had taken the photograph. Christina was the one who captured all of these photos.
My name is Marjorie Burgess. I'm a certified paranormal investigator, and I've been doing this for a good many years, and I also have the ability to hear those who have passed on. Esther Hale. Tragic figure, I think you would say. I have talked to her many times. She was a young Hicksite Quaker woman, probably in her late teens. She had started to be a speaker at their church. And Esther was a very small, dark-haired, probably a very pretty, petite woman who had a man who she was pledged to marry. And this was the time of the Civil War. And he went off to the Civil War through maybe you would call it the Volunteers from Ohio. He was fighting with Ohio. And he was to come back, and they were to be married on the 29th of September, which they called St. Michaelmas Day. It was the time when the harvest seemed to be coming in, and everything very important like marriage and stuff like that seemed to happen on that day. Well, he had been gone about a few months when he was And the story goes that I'm not sure about this, but this is where they say Esther found that she was in the family way, which was something very, very shocking for Quaker people. She would be shunned if anybody knew about it, and she needed to find herself a husband. So she would ask young men to come and visit, and she would serve them tea and make them soup. And in that soup, she put in a concoction that was called Paris Green. Only if they refused to marry her, they got the concoction, which a few days later, they would be found dead. And 2 or 3 different times, I think she did this. Couldn't find anybody to marry her. And as time went on, she had a child. And she called him Jonathan. And a young boy, she took care of her child. She was never allowed to go to their church again. She was basically shunned. But she lived for her son. She took care of him. And one day, when he was about 6 years old, in the mill, there was, the way it was constructed, there was a water wheel, how most mills are. And he would play around the water wheel, and he got caught in the wheel. And he couldn't get out, and he drowned. And this seemed to take Esther into a terrible, terrible depression. In fact, maybe you could say her mind just simply snapped. And as the story goes, she climbed to the top of the mill and hanged herself. Such a tragic story. Esther was gone. Her son had died. And the man she loved never returned to marry her. You know, you would see, she would do all kinds of things to people driving by. Their cars would stop, they couldn't get them started, and there would really be nothing wrong with them. She would come out, lots of times come out from that side of the mill and more or less dance in the street. They would see her.
Now, I know a guy back in around 1997 that happened. He's seen a woman in white dancing in the street.
Yes. Quite a few have seen her. And she was very, very active. They would see her walking up to the bridge. It was like she was sort of always hoping and looking, wondering where he was, why he didn't come back. But now she knows.
Now, do you feel her here with us right now? Do you feel her, like, watching what we're doing?
Yeah, Esther's here. She's right here.
You want to take a photo over there, Chris? Just to see if anything pops up. So what would she be doing over there? Is she just standing, or is she sitting?
She's standing here watching me.
What does she think of what we're doing?
She says, I love you. Come anytime to visit. You brought me hope. You brought me life. I'll never forget you. That's all I can hear. That's all she said.
Alright guys and girls, we have arrived at Gretchen's lock. If you pan over to my right, supposedly this lock right here is where Gretchen was actually entombed by her father until they could actually ship her body over to Holland. So we're going to walk down here. Okay, if you look over here, now there's a big hole right there. Now I don't know if that's typical design of a lock or not. I mean, we'll have to look into that. This is only the very beginning of the, investigation.
There's actually 3 of them.
Yeah, there's one where Danny's standing in right there. Then the one right here, and then there's a really deep one right here. A really deep one. So you guys and girls out there watching right now, this is the beginning of the DVD, so you're going to be learning right along with us. This is
My understanding is that those indentations at the top of that lock were for storage of crops, so that if people had potatoes or carrots or something like that, they could put them there until the boat came along, and then they could move it over to the boat. And, I don't really know where the legends come from.
Right.
At all. There are a lot of people that will tell you, including this Gary Winterburn, that when he was a ranger, he said strange things happen out there at times, and horses get spoofed.
It almost sounds like a muffled cry or something back there. Is there anybody with us right now? If so, can you say yes? Let us know that you can hear us.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Sound like help me.
I'm hearing something back here at the lock. Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm getting a cool wind blowing now, Dan.
I just heard something again.
Please. I'll turn my light out. I'm going to set it down. You got yours in your hand just in case?
Yeah.
My light is out, Gretchen. I'm going to count to 3. Stand in front of this camera so I can take your picture. On 3. 1, 2, 3. I'll never forget one night coming out here. It was a really cold night. We had just got back from a ghost walk at Thompson Park. Danny was just talking about having taken a photo and it looked like a little girl. She had long dark hair. It looked like she was kind of sitting on my head. It was kind of weird. And it wasn't long after that we actually recorded EVP. And we didn't really know we had a good EVP until later that night after having reviewed the evidence. And after having reviewed the evidence, you could hear plain as day a little girl say, "I'm sleepy." Now to me that's really fascinating because not only did we get this good photograph, but we also got a little girl's voice as well. So it really makes it go together, if you know what I mean. So to me that's a really important night because I think that's the first night we actually got a photograph of Gretchen and we actually got to hear what she sounded like as well. And why I think that this is actually Gretchen is, I'll explain later on in the DVD, that we got more EVP of that same little girl's voice, and we also got other spirits as well during the same session, and they actually addressed a little girl by the name Gretchen. So that's some pretty fascinating stuff to say the least. This is the photograph that I was talking about right here. You can see me standing there on the left wearing a camo jacket. Looking on top of my head, it does appear to be a mist figure sitting on top of my head. It appears to me to be a little girl in an almost relaxed, laid-back position, just sitting there resting her chin on her hand. I will now play for you the EVP recorded that same night and at the same location as where this photo was taken. Please note that the poor quality of the image is a direct result of using a disposable camera. We like to have those with us just in case the digital camera dies, as they often do while working in this type of field.
Right there? You're right. Right there? You're right.
Give us a sign. Come on, say something. I'll respond to you intelligently next time, but you gotta say it through this recorder right now. Don't let anybody push you around. That is not. Alright, I got this recording. Although there was about 30 minutes of camera time, being left alone on top of Gretchen's lock, what you just witnessed was all that took place. I have always wondered to myself, though, as to what might be picked up on audio or video if a device was left alone there. Not only was there camera distortion, but an unknown male voice appeared to be laughing as well. One could only fathom what might be recorded if this alone session had been conducted on August the 12th.
Alright guys and girls, I'm out here with Randy. His daughter Heidi just tried out for Esther Hale, and Randy had some pretty interesting photographs. Why don't you tell us about those?
Well, my wife and I come down a couple of weeks ago, first time she's ever Gretchen's locks. I come down here all the time in the 70s. It's a nice day, one of the nicest days so far this year. Started taking some pictures out of the parking lot down the end here, and took them home, blew a couple of them up, and noticed some strange things coming out of the water that looked like it could have been Gretchen.
So like a little girl.
Yeah, walking right out of the water. We were the only ones here that day. There wasn't a soul in the park. And it's very strange.
Yeah, so are you a believer of the paranormal, or?
I was and I am now.
Okay, you heard it guys. He said he is now.
Absolutely.
Alright.
Rolling? Alright guys and girls, we're out here at Beaver Creek State Park. We're at the Gaston Mill right behind me. Could this mill be Esther Hale's mill as opposed to Hamilton's mill? We're going to check it out, guys. Alright, let me see that. Alright, now looking back on this clip here, if you look in the window of the Gaston Mill, it does appear to be a ghostly white figure staring out at us while filming this clip, right out of the window of the Gaston Mill. Alright guys and girls, as you can see behind me, it's the Gaston Mill. It was built in 1830. Esther Hale passed away in 1837. So could the Gaston Mill... Alright guys and girls, behind me is the Gaston Mill, as you can see. Alright, now in this clip right here, you can clearly see that the white ghostly figure has moved more towards the left of the Gaston window right there. And as you can see, I'm messing up my takes right here, and I'm laughing, and Danny's laughing. And if you listen towards the end, you can hear what appears to be a female laughing as well. So whether that's Esther or not, I don't know. Alright guys and girls, as you can see behind me, it's the Gaston Mill. It was built in 1830. Esther Hale passed away in 1837. So could the Gaston Mill... Alright guys and girls, behind me is the Gaston Mill, as you can see. Now in this clip right here, you can clearly see that there's nothing in the window. The figure, whatever it was, is no longer there. So it does appear that there really was something on the other side of that window moving from right to left. Alright guys and girls, as you can see behind me, it's the Gaston Mill. It was built in 1830. Esther Hale passed away in 1837. So could the Gaston Mill... Alright guys and girls, behind me is the Gaston Mill, as you can see.
recorders on. There's a spider on me. So if you want to talk, we'll be able to hear you.
There's orbs all behind you guys.
Come on, there's somebody here. Move this. Did you hear that out there?
I heard some over there.
Sounds
Oh,
like
it's
one
an
of those,
airplane.
yeah. Hopefully we don't find that bump tonight. Like we did last time.
Is that one of you guys said that? Something touched me.
Yeah, Heidi, I swear I thought I...
Something touched me. Something touched me.
Okay.
Something touched
Take
me.
a picture.
You're alright.
Did you hear growling?
Yeah, you're alright. You're alright.
Mom, come here.
Oh crap! Something grabbed my
Okay.
arm.
Okay, hold on. Let's relax for 1 sec, okay? Look, check this out. I want you to look back on that camera and see if any... Okay, Alexis, can you hand that to her and let her look back and see if anything was there? There are a lot of orbs. Everybody stay away from the edge.
Right
It's
before
alright.
you did that, I heard a growl. Yeah, something grabbed my arm.
Okay. You're alright. You're alright.
Where is it? Crap. Okay, well, I've never had anything grab me like that before. It just was on the back of my arm right here. It grabbed like this and like squeezed.
Okay.
And at first I thought, well, who's sitting beside me? And then I thought, oh my God, there's no one sitting beside me. So that scared me.
And Alexis, you say that you,
I heard a growling noise.
okay.
I heard some over there in the woods.
Look at
You know, I
this.
thought I heard something too.
I heard it. It came from over this way.
Look at the
growling.
Ouija board.
Let me see it. Oh, wow.
Let me see.
Wow, look at that.
Missed.
Whoa.
It's like radiating out of the board. Let me get that on film.
Yeah, it turned to a U.
Looks
Wow.
like.
Well,
Do you see that?
Okay.
Do you see that?
Now that night on top of the lock when Heidi got grabbed, there was a few things I would like to bring to your attention.
We have our recorders on.
A couple seconds before she gets up and is crying that something had grabbed her, you can clearly hear a growling sound. And that's what Alexis was saying. She said that she heard something growl. So I want you to rewatch this clip and see if you can hear it yourself.
Did you hear that out there?
I heard some over there.
Sounds like
Oh, it's
one
an
of those,
airplane.
yeah. Hopefully we don't find that bump tonight. Like we did last time.
Is that one of you guys said that?
Something touched me.
Yeah, Heidi, I swear I thought I...
Something touched me. Something touched me.
Also in this clip, right after you hear Danny say, take a picture, you could see what appears to be some kind of ball of light that's flying up between Alexis and Chris. And then later on in the clip, you can clearly hear a male voice say, did you record me? So watch that again and see if you could pick that up.
Sounds like
it's
one
an
of those,
airplane.
yeah. Hopefully we don't find that bump tonight. Like we did last time.
Is that one of you guys said that?
Something touched me.
Yeah, Heidi, I swear I thought I...
Something touched me. Something touched me.
Okay.
Something touched
Take
me.
a picture.
You're alright.
Did you hear growling?
Yeah, you're alright. You're alright.
Mom, come here.
Oh crap! Something grabbed my arm.
Okay, hold on. Let's relax for 1 sec, okay? Look, check this out. I want you to look back on that camera and see if any... Okay, Alexis, can you hand that to her and let her... Look, check this out. I want you to look back on that camera and see if any... Okay, Alexis, can you hand that to her and let her... Look, check this out. I want you to look back on that camera and see if any... Okay, Alexis, can you hand that to her and let her... Having seen Heidi get touched, I mean, it really makes you think. If they could physically touch you, who's to say if you were up on that lock by yourself at night that something couldn't push you off of that lock? So that's one of the reasons why we here at the Midnight Highway don't encourage people to go ghost hunting by themselves. I mean, because if they could physically touch you, then they could probably physically push you. That's the first time ever investigating that I've ever witnessed somebody physically getting touched.
Govinda Hare Gopala Hare He Prabhu Dina Dayal Hare Govinda Hare Gopala Hare He Prabhu Dina Dayal Hare Govinda Hare Gopala Hare He Prabhu Dina Dayal Hare
EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon. It is when you take a recorder, digital or tape recorder, it doesn't matter. You hit record, and when you play back the tape, you can hear voices that should not be there. Paranormal researchers believe the voices to be that of the dead.
Can you hold this real quick and give me the camera down just for a second? I just want to go down in there. And I just alarm on that. Can you hold this real quick and give me the camera down just for a second? I just want to go down in there. And I just alarm on that.
I think it's a man's voice.
It is a man's voice.
Is there somebody here?
Where's that?
We're here.
My head hurts really bad.
Oh!
Take this, take it.
Wow.
Take it.
Let me rewind
Oh my
that.
god, did that just say get out?
Yeah, it did.
Can we get out now?
Listen to this.
Oh my god.
We're here.
Listen.
Oh my god, look at my goose.
Oh, that was bad.
All right, everyone be quiet.
All right.
Everyone quiet.
Do you know what year it is?
Listen to that again.
I don't like this anymore.
Is it okay if we're here?
It said, is it okay if we're here? And it said, get out.
Oh, it's a guy's voice. That was a guy's voice. Oh
Do
my
you know what
god.
year it is?
And then I heard that big noise back there.
Yeah. Ooh, that. I got chills.
Ross or Chauncey?
They sound like Mr.
What?
Bowman.
I didn't hear.
He did it again. Rewind that again. I think we need to leave.
All right, let's be professional.
I didn't hear.
Listen.
I thought I heard like a noise over this way.
Yeah, that's where it sounded like it came from. Did
you get a lot of
Did I not
visitors
go
here?
back too far?
Oh, you didn't go back far enough, but I
Yeah.
thought I just heard another get out.
Me too.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard it.
That I'm blown away at the clarity.
I didn't
Justin's
hear.
hand holding.
Right.
I thought I heard like a noise over this way.
Yeah, that's where it sounded like it came from. I don't know, guys. I get a bad feeling out here, man. For real. I get a bad, negative feeling out here.
Gretchen's Lock, and this is the Gretchen's Gathering.
Put your hand up there so you don't. I think he's attached to me.
And here's some pictures.
I see him. That's what you see crawling on an apple.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
The guy needs an apple to eat. He won't go in the bottle. Oh, he won't try to get him to go in the bottle.
That's supposedly Gretchen.
That's your owner.
And Mr. Hale.
It's like, yay, it's him again.
And my good buddy and my cousin, Sean Lonkert, who was instrumental in putting this together, says that there's been a steady stream of people here all day long. And right now there's a few cars, quite a few cars I should say. And right now I'm going to show you the death mask of Pretty Boy Floyd, or so they say.
It's just painted to look like it's real.
That's awesome.
I thought it was real until I talked to the CEO over there, and he told me no, it's plastic.
Well,
At that time, if I'd have went over there 2 years ago, they was buying up everything they could find.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't have it. And he told me right
Sure, I've watched all your videos.
Oh, did you?
I've seen it
Oh,
too.
thank you. Oh, well, thank
My
you.
daughter Heidi is the one that plays Esther.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I've commented on your a couple times on your YouTube.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, pretty good stuff on there.
Thank you.
But he told me that somebody.
You think like his nose
Huh? I don't know. I mean, I read
And at about 10:30 tonight, they're going to have a ghost walk. They're going to go back to Gretchen's Lock. And I will try to get that on video. And right now I'm going to go over to my car and put the Gretchen's Lock DVD, Legends of Gretchen's Lock DVD, in the car. Quite a few people down here, although it don't look like it. But some are back the trail, some are at the main entrance. And some are up in the camping area. I'm going to have to say that they picked a nice day to do it. It's currently 77 degrees. And with all the rain we've had, you can see that the creek's up. In fact, it's up higher than it was the last time I did a video down here. And the rangers, they tell me, have been in and out all day checking on them. I think I mentioned that Sean said they were going to be, they were going to camp out up here. And that is Sean Walker, the main dude. So for now, we'll take a look at the creek and Wintergreen Trail. And I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit surprised with all the rain we've had, the trail isn't that muddy. And speaking of muddy, the creek is. But after all the rain we've had the last few days, that's to be expected. Hi guys, in this part I just wanted to mention that we have a reporter from the Review in East Liverpool, Ohio. See if I can get a close-up of him here. Really nice of him. He's done 2 write-ups so far.
Okay.
And then we have Don in the film too.
Yeah, he was telling his stories.
Okay, I've got you on tape, so I don't know. What's your name?
David.
David. Pleased to meet you, David.
Nice to meet you.
And this is the reporter from the Review in East Liverpool, Ohio.
Everybody's been put on the spot out.
Okay, guys, I'm still down at Gretchen's Lock, and it's about 10:30, and there are tons of people down here getting ready to go on the ghost walk. I'm going to try to do a video of that, but I don't know how much you'll get to see. There's got to be at least 100, maybe 150 people down here.
I think we should.